Try Hard, a working class synthwave album from Jill Kid. Link in the description.
Me Grimlock kicks butt.
Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan. My handle is Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios. And today, we're geeking out over Transformers. And to do that with me, I have Maji-chan.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing all right.
I actually found the Grimlock clip.
What was that?
I can't believe you found the Grimlock clip.
That's like my favorite scene in the whole movie. Not my favorite fight scene, but my favorite clip of a fight scene. My favorite fight scene would be the Sharkticon pit. That was just a blast. And it again involved the Dinobots, so go figure. So Maji, what you actually know a lot more about Transformers, I think, than I do. And you started digging into that later. Did you actually start with the Michael Bay movies?
Oh, hell no. My start was Beast Wars.
Oh, okay. I'm mixing you up with someone else. Someone else said they watched Michael and then went back and watched the other stuff.
No, that was me in Star Trek. I watched the freaking
Abrams
J.J.
movie.
Abrams. Which I know what I'm going to say about that is going to be considered blasphemy in the side of Trekkies. But for somebody fresh, not watching it going in, the movies weren't bad. And then I'm like, so why does everybody hate these? They're not bad. I went back and watched the original series and some of that stuff. And I'm like, okay, now I can see why they were pissed.
I was the same way with M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar: The Last Airbender. I watched that and I'm like, it was all right. Can't wait to see the next one. Then I heard everybody just slamming it. I'm like, why was it so bad? Then I went back and watched the Nickelodeon Avatar series. I'm like, now I get it. It's like, yeah, compared to that, the movie was a disappointment. So Beast Wars, I think that was still in continuity with G1, wasn't it?
Kind of. So there was a little bit of Transformers before that. I don't remember if it was the Gen 1 or technically the Gen 1.5 reruns when I was in kindergarten. I remember sneaking down and watching. It had to have been the Gen 1. God, yeah, obviously it was.
Yeah. The 1.5,
was,
like you said, reruns. It's still Gen 1.
Yeah. It was, I remember like Bumblebee walking around with the humans and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure it was Gen 1, but I was too young to really understand it. I just thought it was cool to see a car talking. But it was the Beast Wars that I fell in love with. And because, for example, the Beast Wars toys and stuff, they look like tacky animals. So to kind of rewind a little, my dad didn't want his daughters playing with action figures, which is funny because now one's a Blitchen and one's me. But anyway, so Beast Wars looked like tacky animal figures when in actuality they turned out to be these really cool robots hiding in plain sight and stuff like that. And so that started it was like a little rebellious streak. Exactly. So that was my little rebellious streak to say, haha, screw you. But but it grew from there into a total nerddom. Like I ended up hunting down the 4 Japanese versions, the Headmasters, the Victory. No, is there 3? There's 3. Headmasters, Victory, and what's the third one? Godhead? I don't remember what the 3rd Japanese one is. I have them all. But I just can't remember off the top of my head. I'm about ready to bust out my box. I have a box of nothing but Transformer DVDs. Some English, some not in English, some official, unofficial. It gets kind of
Yeah,
questionable.
it does. And there is a split in that G1 timeline between US and Japan.
Well, yeah, because of the fact that the Transformers movie, it was very, very, very successful. However, because they killed off everybody's favorites, that third and fourth season, well, kind of more the fourth season, tanked the Transformers franchise in the
Yeah.
US. I mean, it was so bad they ended it halfway through the season.
Actually, I think we had season 1 and 2, then there was the movie, then season 3, and
Hmm.
then I think we had
Season 3 was a
Rebirth
struggle,
Part
and
1
then
and 2 for season 4, and it stopped after episode 1 and 2.
yeah, I mean, they literally. Well, here's the thing, though. Actually, I know why. I went so the nerd in me went to a Comic-Con. Well, you're always shocked at that. I'm a freaking pony avatar right now. Anyway, the nerd in me went to Salt Lake Fan Expo, and during the Salt Lake Fan Expo, there was a panel, Hasbro panel between the IDW comic book artist for Transformers and My Little Pony. The at the time was the current one with the My Little Pony Friendship is Magic comic books. And then you had one of the legendary artists from the Generation 1 Transformers, G.I. Joes, My Little Pony, all the 80s cartoonists. So this panel was a comparison of then and well, at the time now. Keep in mind this was about 6 years ago, so things probably have changed since then. But maybe longer. But anyway, so it was really cool. So it turns out like the Transformers G.I. Joes, they were all made within a week. Hasbro would, from what I learned from the panel, Hasbro would present the toy of that was about to come out for that week because Hasbro did weekly toy releases back in the 80s, not like it is now, where it's all nothing. But they're like, so this is the toy. We need to make him the star of the episode. He does this cool thing, and we want this to happen so that we could try to sell this toy. Because the original Transformers series was a giant freaking commercial originally for the toys. In
And
fact,
it was a good commercial.
yeah, it wasn't until the actual movie that they realized they had something more than just a toy sale. So that's why, like in the Transformer pilot, all the Autobots can suddenly fly, and then like the next episode, they forgot completely how to fly. Was because they were making it up as they went, trying to
Yep.
see what would work for their target audience, which was to sell this toy.
I remember that, like Ironhide's flying all over the place, and then you never see it again.
Exactly.
In
Not
fact, the only other place we
because
see it is in the movie, but they're probably a little bit outside gravity. The Dinobots were flying around. I think
yeah,
that's the only time we saw it, and nobody questioned it because me Grimlock kick butt was too funny to stop and question it. Like here's
exactly.
another thing I noticed. Hang on, let me bring that clip back up. Gotta find where it was. There it is. All right, watch this and see if you can spot the continuity error.
Me Grimlock kick butt.
Did you see it?
Yeah. But at the same time, they are in space, so they could get away with it.
No, I mean the continuity error in that scene. Within that scene, it started one way and ended up another.
Oh, yeah. The animation transition.
Yeah. The Dinobots were coming up, started flying over his right shoulder. He's turning, watching, and when it shifts to the other side, he's looking over his left shoulder. Like completely reversed it. But it's full of stuff like that. We know that is like
Part of me wants to turn
characters
on
to
my
a level
camera
we
and
don't care.
show, like, the depths of my nerdom. Another part of me is like, I really don't want to turn on my camera. Well, okay, so for example, so halfway, Beast Wars technically rewrote the Gen 1, rewrote a little bit of Gen 1 unintentionally. But instead of completely destroying lore like we're used to nowadays, where they're like, so we're going to do a prequel and completely rewrite the lore, What Beast Wars did was they added to it and developed it in a way so it made more sense. Because they were developing everything on the fly, like the Allspark, for example. You just know the Allspark was there. You don't know anything about it. Optimus Prime um was made by Alpha Trion somehow, even though it was originally Orion Pax and all
Orion
that fun
Pax.
stuff. What Beast Wars did was they actually incorporated the spark, the very spark itself. They gave Transformers a soul and separated them out from normal computers and machines, which the Generation 1 just saw them as robots. I mean, Wheeljack made Dinobots with no specialty, nothing like that. They were just there.
Yep.
So what?
They
So
started
what?
paying more attention to that in the series as they went on. Because later on, they needed, what was it, Vector Sigma to bring some Autobots to life. And that's how we got the aerial bots.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think Alpha Trion actually had to sacrifice himself in order for that to work.
And then, like, when they brought Optimus Prime back, I mean, they started to develop it towards the end of Transformers because, like I said, at the beginning, they were literally just going weekly, just trying to advertise a toy. And then eventually, the artists realized that there was more than just selling a toy here. There was something else that fans liked, and it was causing more people to watch that caused the toys to sell.
It was the characters, the personalities of the characters.
Exactly.
That's why the movie can be so full of plot holes, and we don't care. We still love it.
Mm-hmm.
Or we
And
acknowledge it, but we still love it.
it's also why the first, especially the first season of G.I. Joe and the first season of Transformers, if you listen to them, they have a lot of the same lines portrayed the exact same way. And all that was because they literally had 1 week between episodes to completely draw, create a script, voice act, and have it ready to go. I mean, these were
That
made
is an
weekly.
insane pace to work at, though.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying. He's like, man, I feel screwed listening to this other person and what they have to do. But at the time, that was what it was expected of.
Yeah.
And
Remember when Cobra
so,
Commander showed up in Transformers in season 3?
mm-hmm. But another reason, it was all the same guys. The same guy that did G.I. Joe's Transformers also did the original My Little Pony.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the biggest problem, and the one reason why they decided to put unicorns in My Little Pony was so they could carry shit with magic. Because every time they wanted to talk or something, they had to draw or carry something. They had to draw the basket in the mouth, being carried by the Earth ponies, which then would have to be put down so that they could speak, and then pick back up, put back down. That's actually why they added humans too, was to kind of move that process along. Because the original My Little Pony actually had humans in it. The new I don't know about the new ones, just sounds awful. But the Gen 4 My Little Pony, which is what the pony my avatar is kind of based off of, that one, Spike did all that. The dragon, he would go around, his sole purpose, like, even in the show, was to be an aide, was to carry stuff around, do stuff that the ponies couldn't do, stuff like that. So instead of being a human, they put in a little baby dragon. The only one who could break the rules of the ponies was the Pinkie Pie, the party pony, who could break the fourth wall and stuff because she's just that ridiculous.
I remember a couple years back, I saw on the channel Screw Attack, they were doing the death battles, and they did one of the My Little Pony characters versus Starscream. I'm like, you know what? I called it before it started. I'm like, the only reason that they would put something that looks this lopsided together is because it's going to end the other way that you think it should. And
if it was any other Transformer, they would have won, but it was Starscream who gets too impatient.
They always did Starscream kind of dirty, though, because Starscream is supposed to be a genius level scientist and tactically minded. They just make him this sniveling idiot. Sniveling, sure, but he's brilliant and not a moron. and they just
Hold on
made him
one
look
sec.
like an idiot all the time.
Hold on one sec. I got you. I just got to go grab something real quick.
Alrighty. Well, while she's off doing that, I'm going to play a self shill. We'll be right back.
Haley and Elizabeth are back, and this time the Spuds are really going to fly. Who's wild? And this time the Spuds are really going to fly. And Haley's world. Who's wild? And this time the Spuds are really going to fly. Who's world? And this time the Spuds are really going to fly.
All right. That was a cool commercial.
James Esparza have arranged that one.
Nice. So, here, I'm going to show you this. So, here, you see my nerd books in the background there. So, this book, Transformers Exodus, is an old novel. It came out early 2000s. I don't remember if it was IDW first or if it was this one, but they actually rewrote Starscream's history. So instead of being a scientist, what they did, because Starscream's history, or the way he, in both Gen 1 Transformers, Gen 2, Gen 3, he never portrayed himself as a scientist. It was just his, what they wrote him as when they made him up. But Exodus and IDW,
He was portrayed that once in Gen 1.
Huh?
They did mention that once during the Generation 1 cartoons when they found Skyfire.
Mm-hmm.
They worked together previous as explorers and scientists.
So
Skyfire was Starscream's old friend before he was reprogrammed by the Robo-Buster.
Mm-hmm. But actually, I think you'll like what they did to him then. So they took that part of his history, because they kept his Skyfire, which evolved into Jetfire depending on the generation. And then in Exodus, as well as the War for Cybertron video games that came out in the early 2000s, as well as in the comic books, they actually made him a flight commander, which explains his deviance. It explains why he's actually a really smart aerial attack and all that. They made him and all the other aerials like Skywarp and
the Seekers.
The Seekers, all part of their own division that was originally in the Cybertron Ion defenses. And then when they betrayed, because this book goes into the history of how Megatron rose into power and Optimus and him got divided. In fact, the new movie coming out in the end of the month is kind of based off of this.
Oh, cool. That's the one with they got Chris
loosely
Hemsworth voicing him as Orion Pax.
Yeah, I say loosely because, like I said, that could have changed. But especially now with Hasbro doing whatever it's doing.
Yeah.
But
I remember the first Michael Bay movie, they said is loosely based on G1. And then it was nothing like G1.
Nothing like G1, exactly. So what it was Sentinel Prime, who was the leader before Orion, before the war, before all of that. This whole book goes into all that. Was actually a ruthless, pretty much, I hate to say this, hopefully we won't get flagged, communist. Everybody was born into their sparks were created and divided up into class systems. Megatron was a construction bot designed specifically for mining, but he earned his fame through the gladiator arenas, and nobody questioned the gladiator arenas because the construction bots were pretty much designed to be destroyed. Orion Pax, who in Gen 1 was a dock worker, actually grew up in Ion, or Iacon, not Ion, Iacon City, so that was more of the Richie area, but he was just a data clerk to Alpha Trion that sometimes worked the docks for whatever reason. And so, like I said, they went back and changed some of the history, and some of that history stayed and became lore as they know it for the newer gens, but the older gens, they kind of, yeah, we acknowledge they're there. We acknowledged that this, but at the same time, they also acknowledged that because they were making it on the fly, they didn't have much to go on in terms of lore.
Yeah, because I remember the Quintessons had made two types of sentient robots. One was military hardware, the other was household services, and they became the Decepticons and Autobots. Did they ever go into the Quintessons at all in that book?
Not in this book, because it more takes the Unicron Primus approach. So, they briefly mention the Quintessons, but what it is because the newer ones, the Transformer Cybertron series, kind of established it in the TV lore, not so much the book lore. The Transformer Cybertron series, which is the three parts of the Energon Armada, Energon, and Cybertron, is technically Gen 2, maybe Gen 3. Hey, Animation.
Animation, what's up, man?
You're learning how big of nerds we are right now. But the Primus's body is actually Cybertron into that lore, which makes sense because Unicron is a giant planet too that transforms. The only difference is Primus is trying to protect life. In fact, that's where the Matrix comes from, is Primus's spark. Is a fragment of Primus's spark, according to the newer generational lore. So that was more of the approach they went, but
yeah. I remember the origin of
doesn't know that yet.
I remember the origin of Unicron in Gen 1 Season 3, and I hated it.
Yeah, they redid it for that reason.
Some dweeb built them. That was it. I was like, no, that's garbage.
Maybe it was the Quintessons, I don't know. But technically, in the newer lore, it's Primus and Unicron are basically almost god-level Transformers.
Yeah, I think at least Unicron is multiversal in scale. Because I think the lore is there's only one Unicron. Whenever he's destroyed or defeated in one universe, he pops into another.
Yeah.
And
same with Primus. Primus is the same situation, where actually Vector Prime, who's one of the 13 primes established, one of the ancient primes, Vector Prime, him and Alpha Trion are on the same level technically.
Oh wow!
If you're going into it's called the Covenant. It was the official set in stone lore book released by Hasbro. It's a limited edition book that came in. I have it. I just don't want to because it's in another box. But but anyway, the Covenant, after the release of the Energon trilogy, they went and finalized, especially because the Transformer movies were about to come out. And so, the Bayformers. So they went and finalized the lore to get rid of any kind of shakiness and stuff. Vector Prime is a ancient prime that's his job is to be keeper of space and time. Sentinel's Prime sole purpose was to record history. He had the same power as Vector, but he couldn't interfere with history. His job was to record it and preserve it. And if he had to intervene and put a bot that they could trust the Matrix into leadership, which is Optimus Prime. But according to Vector Prime, because in the Transformers, the Energon series, Cybertron is nearly destroyed because when they destroyed Unicron, it picks up right after. It kind of picks up after Armada because Armada Unicron comes back, and Armada at the end of Armada they end up destroying Unicron. Well, because Unicron is basically a celestial transformer, it rips a hole in the universe and threatens to destroy the entire universe because he technically can't be destroyed, like you were saying. And so it ripped a hole in the
Right.
universe, and the whole plot line of Cybertron is to regather the spark of Primus because the four keys, with the Matrix included, reforge Primus and wake him up because Primus split his spark apart to spread Cybertronian life across the universe. And so they wake him up and he's like, you guys threw off the balance between good and evil. Now the universe is correcting itself by destroying itself.
Animation, I'm right there with you. He says, I grew up with the movie and I watched a good bit of Prime. My Transformers knowledge is severely limited. Yeah, I'm the
See,
same. All my knowledge
What's
comes from G1, the movie. What the movie is G1. And I did watch Transformers Prime, which, that I think Kurtzman, of all people, was actually involved with that, but it didn't come out bad. I mean,
See, I was
probably
so
because of
disappointed with.
Roberto Orci was involved in that too, and he seems fairly competent.
I was so disappointed in the Bayformer movies. I didn't watch the Prime series. I watched the animated one, which is bad, but
The Prime series, there's one thing I really like that they did in there. Some humans, they were trying to build their own Transformer, and they were actually, going to battles, scavenging for parts of Cybertronian remains and pulling them together. But they were trying to figure out how to make it transform. It wasn't working. And they realized we need a T-Cog, and they kept trying to build one or engineer one, manufacture one. It wasn't working. And at this point, Starscream had the massive falling out with Megatron. So he went to them and he explained to them, your problem is the T-Cog isn't technology, it's biology.
mm-hmm.
And I like that explanation because it just makes them more alive when he says it that way. But then, of course, next thing Starscream knew, he found himself tossed out. I don't know. I can't remember how they did it, but somehow these humans got the jump on him, and next thing you know, he was tossed aside somewhere. He woke up missing his T-Cog. Like, they just abducted you and scavenged you for organs, pal. But he had part of the cosmic spark cube lodged in his forehead, so it made him immortal. And so he kept going back and attacking Megatron. Megatron would kill him, throw him away, and be like, finally, I'm rid of him. Then he's like, I'm back. He was regenerating like Deadpool. So allowed him to try a bunch of different stuff. But, until the end of the series where it got removed from him and he became mortal again. And yes, he did at one point regain his T-Cog.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
so
yeah.
Who is your favorite Transformer and why?
It shifted around a lot. I liked Ironhide. He was cool. The G1 Ironhide. Power Glide was up there too. And then Huffer was hilarious. That's a tough pick. But yeah, Power Glide. I was always into the episodes that were doing with him. I think just his overall personality is like, it was just fun to have in the mix there. How about yours? You still there? You're muted. Maji, are you still with us? Well, while we're trying to figure out the audio
Sorry
issues,
about
oh, well, I was going to say while we're working with the audio issues, I was going to show them this little clip from game work that's being worked on by Skunks. And he did say that it is a Metroidvania.
that.
So I'm looking forward to that. You know me and my Metroidvanias. It's like my favorite kind of game to play.
So the final straw for me in the Babe Former movies, well, okay, the second one was probably the real final straw. But the absolute final straw, because I didn't even bother. I was so excited when they first announced Drift, but the second movie hadn't been out yet, so that they announced Drift was going to be in the third one, and then what I saw, they totally butchered him.
I was completely unfamiliar with his character, so I couldn't tell. Is
Well,
is that the one where Crosshairs first showed up as well?
I'm trying to remember. Hold on.
Or is that the fourth?
I don't know. I didn't watch the fourth.
A lot of
I
people
saw
didn't like that one, but I actually liked it because I don't know the Autobots themselves seem to have a lot more of their character shine through as actual characters, where the other ones were focused more on the humans running around underneath their feet. This one was actually focused on the actual Autobots.
So I'm trying to find the page so you could see it. Hold on. I pulled out my comics. I'm a nerd. That's probably why
There was
there
a
was no
big
audio.
difference between the comics in US and UK.
Oh yeah, no. In fact, a lot of the Transformer comics I get are from overseas because the ones in the U.S. tend to put a bunch of shit in there I don't want to read. So
And if you remember the original US comic line where Optimus Prime was killed, it was killed by a people of all names, Ethan. It was his name. It's like, hey, why do you have to have the human that killed Optimus Prime have the same name as me? That ain't right. You know? In all fairness, that was a very uncommon name at the time, so they probably chose it because of that. So like, people wouldn't sit there like me and go, "Hey, no."
Here it is. So might help if I hit the right button. So right here, Rift was originally a transformer known as Deadlock. Considered basically almost a gangster in the Decepticon world. He was feared, murderous, all sorts of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of, the reason why I like him, his origin story is not unique in a way, but at the same time, it's one of those tropes that you still can't help but go after because he's a redemption character. So
In the
basically,
movie,
it's
they
kind of like
made him
the
a
last
samurai, I think.
Yeah, the last samurai, kind of the same situation. He gets injured on an alien planet. The people that repair him, because they had to completely rebuild his body, as you could tell between that Decepticon and his current form, they're completely different. His body was destroyed beyond recognition. But because he was stranded on the planet, he had to behave. And he started learning about the people, learning about their traditions. The particular planet he was on, I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head. I can't, so I won't say it, so I don't say it wrong. But they have these massive great swords that kind of resemble the Matrix in the center or at the hilt, but it isn't. What it is it pulls from their own sparks in order to power the sword. they aren't allowed to kill, because if they were to kill using their sword, it would actually kill them because of how much power was required to operate the weapon. But basically, because he falls in love with the people, he falls in love with their ideas. They're because they are different from the Transformers. They look like Transformers, but they're not. It's a totally different culture. He actually takes up the energy swords and takes it on his own. So he swears to kill off anybody unless it kills him in a return. And then during an invasion, the old team that he was a part of ends up invading the planet. And because they are sworn not to kill, they weren't being able to stop basically the team that was destroying their planet to take the energy. And he's like, you know what? This is my home now. This is the culture I've accepted.
He's
I've been
completely
changed.
acclimated to their culture at this point.
Yeah. And so he actually fights back, but because he is a trained killer, he can kill without using the weapon. But instead of killing, he just destroys them, and it turns into hunted conflict back and forth between the world. So he ends up leaving, and Ratchet becomes friends with Ratchet, the Gen 1 Ratchet, to be honest, because he's a grumpy old guy. He understands war changes people and things change. And so Ratchet sees that he's physically became a different person. Not just because he was rebuilt, but he is completely different. You know, Ratchet's an old war soldier. And so Ratchet's like, here, I'll vouch for him. And so basically Optimus pretty much puts Ratchet in charge of whatever he does, Ratchet will take the fall for it. So in a way, Drift not only has this redemption, but he knows that an innocent person that was kind and a good friend to him will take the fall in his place if he screws up.
Yeah, see, I knew none of that.
Yeah, he's a newer character. Most people don't know about him unless they're familiar with the comics. But like I said, it is a tropey character, but at the same time, they're tropes for a reason.
Because they work, especially if applied properly.
Mm-hmm. And in his case, I like the fact that he is a known killer. He is, I mean, the very first, second comic, not the first one. The first one you introduced the comic, Ratchet, and meet him through Ratchet. But the second comic itself, let me open it just a little. You actually see him killing somebody. So yeah, no, he's a really dangerous guy.
Yeah, I remember I actually sat down and read through I forgot. Yeah, there's a book I forgot I read. The novelized version of the first movie. I think it might have even been before it came out. There were some differences, but yeah, I tried reading it to my kids. They didn't get into it.
Yeah. Well, what made him fall in love with the culture was because the old guy that rebuilt him stood up for him in his defense when they first rebuilt him, because they were just going to send him off in space and let him die. And then once they rebuilt him, every day he challenged the Deadlock challenged the guy that rebuilt him because he couldn't beat him in combat. And so for months he was getting his ass kicked by this elder, and it kept pissing him off because he's supposed to be one of the best fighters the Decepticons feared. But by getting his ass kicked so hard, he was opening his eyes to what was around them, what made them stronger, what made them different from the other Transformers. So like here, like I said, his story's pretty brutal. But you can see here if I can figure out where my camera angle is, he's actually killing bots. He executes styles people this way, and then he turns around and shoots another that way.
He's just the old. He's almost like special ops at that point.
Yeah, he's just a killer.
But now he's a killer with a heart.
Mm-hmm. Well, And that's just it. He won't kill anymore. He said he's taken enough sparks, and then once he gets used to, once he learns. I mean, here's another page of him killing more bots. See, right here, this is Deadlock right here. He's actually telling his mentor what he's done. I know I suck at picturing the camera because it's reverse. But so it is an in-depth story for him. In fact, he got his own mini-series about 5 comics long. This is just the omnibus of all of them.
Yeah. That throws me off too a lot, by the way. I keep expecting the on screen to act as a mirror, but it's reversed.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize when I want to point to someone in the box next to me, I got to turn the other way.
See, I have actually, hold on, let me show you. Pause for this moment.
Animation Overload's loving the art.
This one.
I remember the first time I started actually chatting with people online was a V bulletin format for a it was the forums for the movie Transformers, and I was under Wrangler 212 on there. I don't know if anyone will ever see that remembers me. If you do, I'm sorry. I was a douchebag. I got kicked off for good reason, but there was another one on there I used to talk to, and she wrote fan fictions, and she emailed it to me, and I read through it, and it's like she was trying to account for all sorts of things, and her write. I hope she's still writing to this day. I was getting into what she was writing. It was pretty good, and she's got good story ideas. So I hope she still continues that.
I have all the original Drift of the miniseries comics framed and signed by the original author.
Wow.
I don't know if you could see the signature in the.
Yeah, right above his right shoulder.
Mm-hmm. So what it is like I said, I really like this character just because the fact that even in the Transformers world, they can still find redemption. In his case, his piece came by adapting another culture, kind of like The Last Samurai. I wouldn't be surprised if that's based off that movie, to be honest. But,
how you doing, Skunks?
No, but that's why he's my favorite character. And when the Bay Farmers did his movie as the way he is bumbling moron and all that, it just pissed me off so bad.
Yeah. And again, I can relate to that because I pointed to Avatar, the M. Night Shyamalan movie. And because of that, I went back and watched the original series and realized how lackluster the movie truly was. But it at least got my attention on Avatar, and a lot of people say this, and I have no counter to this. A lot of people say that Zuko has the best redemption arc in story. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are probably those that are done better, but it seems like, from what I've seen, Zuko, it was very slow going, bit by bit, over 4 seasons, so it was believable.
Fun fact. So, Kowalski, the guy who voiced Kowalski here, also was the voice of Prowl. In a couple of series.
Michael Bell did that?
No, this is Jeff Bennett. Jeff Bennett's been the voice of Prowl in the animated as well as I can't remember the other one. But yeah, so the voice of Kowalski is also one of Prowl's voices.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was Michael Bell, who did a lot of voice work in the 70s and 80s.
Well, yeah, Michael Bell was the original Prowl. I'm talking about the newer ones.
Yeah. What's kind of depressing is you let the credits roll on Transformers the movie, and you look at a lot of those names. A good chunk of them have passed.
Yeah.
It's kind of Catman Scruthers. No one will ever be Jazz as good as he was. Then there was Casey Kasem, who was Cliff Jumper, Teletran 1, and probably a bunch of other things. Michael Bell, Jack Angel. I don't know if Jack Angel is with us or not. Lionel Stander did the voice of Cup in the movie. Yeah, Cup was my favorite character in the movie. Just the grumpy old guy, but he'd seen it all, and he almost always knew what to do. Almost. He was a blast. But I think whoever voice matched him in season 3 did pretty well. Then, of course, Leonard Nimoy, Orson Welles, a lot of them we've lost over the years. The chaos is here. Hello. No. I do remember seeing some of Beast Wars. The reason I started watching Beast Wars because I saw a clip of where, what was his name? He ended up getting possessed by Starscream's ghost.
So, since we're on Nerdum for a sec, I gotta show you this one. If that's okay.
Sure. That's kind of the whole reason we're here today.
This is the original Flash vs. Superman 1940s race.
Oh, wow.
And this sucker's huge. Like, the limited editions back then, which...
Yeah, that's the size of a full-blown magazine, isn't it?
Yeah, this is not only... It's the size of basically 11 by 14 in terms of comic. It's not the best condition in the world because I found it with a little bit of water damage in the back of a comic shop that's been sitting there forever. But this is so cool. And people are going to freak out because I'm going to open it. But like I said, it's got water damage. So nobody's going to care. But, I mean, look at this.
See you later. See you later, animation. Thanks for stopping in.
I know. I just made people cringe by opening it. But, I mean, look at this paper.
Oh, wow.
But it was so corny. It was because it's like, oh, I could beat Superman, but I don't want to make him look bad. I could beat Flash, but he might be in trouble. It was just, it was what you expect from the 1940s. It was so much fun.
Yeah, even Batman has a smile on his face. How often do you see that?
Exactly. But like gangsters, you can see the water spots down the center here.
Yeah.
But even like the gangsters were trying to slow down the bets and all of that fun stuff. So, yeah, like I said, I'm a nerd.
And like I said, that's why we're here.
Sorry, it was underneath my sign of Walski, so thought you'd like to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. It still is funny to see some of the old stuff where Batman has a smile. It's kind of reminiscent almost of the 60s TV show where Batman's just talking with people as Batman in the daylight. Is like, you would never see that now.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny when you think the Joker, I think he showed up in the second issue of Batman, and he was meant to be a throwaway villain. Who knew he would become such an icon?
Which baffles my mind of that, because the Joker's entrance is the most evil, sinister entrance in the history of comic books, especially given the time period in which he entered. Because if you look back at his entrance into the Batman series, keep in mind, during this time period, you rarely hear of anybody getting killed, quote unquote, quotation marks.
Yeah.
His entrance to the Batman comics, he killed an entire Boy Scout camp. So not only did he killed kids, mass group of them, by poisoning the water.
That's insane, which is what Joker's all about. Yeah, a lot of folks don't realize comics originally were much more mature. They were, most of them were horror-based, I think.
The original, I think the original were pulps, mini pulps, weren't they?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, like Marvel, I think that was back when they were timely comics. They had things like Tales to Astonish, and one of the things was here comes the Killdozer, and it was just this big bulldozer that was going around killing people. And yeah, so I mean, the campy, happy version of Batman that was not what we
It
see
was
now
bad.
is much closer to the original because it was a dark mystery with stakes involved and
Oh man, I remember growing up because I grew up with Conroy's Batman. If Batman smiled, somebody was about to get their ass kicked.
yeah,
You didn't want to see
to
Batman
me,
smile.
I cannot read any Batman comic without hearing Kevin Conroy's voice in my head for the words.
No, he was the perfect Batman. I think Kevin Conroy's animated Batman is the only true Batman that's ever been portrayed on the screens. Oh yeah, Generation 1 was awesome.
Heck
And
yeah.
like I was saying earlier, Generation 1 was literally made up on the fly, done within a week between each episode.
Now I think I had a toy or two before I ever saw any of the shows, but the commercials, not the shows as commercials, but the actual commercials before I think the series actually started. They still had what was his name, Vic Caroli, as the announcer in the commercials, and the narrator in the series.
And then it went to Peter Cullen.
Does oh yeah, and recent things, but yeah, and then Stan Bush is his music is in Transformers is almost synonymous in my mind.
Uh, in all honesty, it's probably what put him on the map.
Yeah, and he's still making music to this day, and he's still the same style is freaking awesome. Because ain't nobody making music like that anymore. So to
Yeah.
have someone still doing that, kind of like what was that? Greta Van Fleet when they came out, their garage band, they were making it big, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, it sounds like they're ripping off Led Zeppelin." It's like, no, not exactly. They have a very similar sound, yes, but they're not ripping them off. And even if they were, who cares? Is Led Zeppelin making music right now? No. Is anybody making music like that these days? No. So please let them. I like it. You know?
Yeah.
And,
Well,
what was the other
the
one?
audience got to see what I look
aka
like.
Spectre General. What was that?
Yeah. I said, well, the audience got to see what I look like today. Oh well. I
Yeah,
got to
I thought
nerd
you were
up.
going to put on your Soundwave mask before you. That's why I was surprised when you had
I
yourself.
love it, but I can't breathe in the damn thing. I mean, it's a really cool mask. Don't get me wrong. It's just the way it's designed. It's not designed to be worn, even though it's a mask.
Yeah,
Go figure.
it's more of a prop than anything.
Pretty much.
Conversation starter.
Well, what's even more weird is it's got foam pads on the inside, and it's actually got texture and stuff on the inside where it looks like they went ahead and designed it. It just you can't breathe. In fact, because of the lenses on for the eyes, it fogs up, so I can't see either.
You're gonna have to drill the faceplate.
Something. It's just sad because
Autobots
the
need
Soundwave
air
mask is
too. Oh wait,
really cool.
Soundwave's a Decepticon.
Yeah, Soundwave's a Decepticon.
Yeah, everybody kept calling that your Optimus Prime mask, and I'm like, but that's Soundwave.
Well, technically, you can't really tell the difference unless you're looking at the eye color.
My eyes are getting bad. Let me see what Skunks is saying there. I like having face to one of my favorite commentators finally.
Well, it's been changing. I've gone through quite a bit of weight loss, so
Yeah, you know what? This is the right stream to talk about it. Transformers, we've both been transforming. How long have you been working at it?
technically, so I've gotten hardcore serious in about the last 4 months, But I started off small by taking the promotion, getting off the night shift, changing my sleep schedule. So all of that was about a year ago now. But I
Yeah, I
actually
started
started
about a
to lose
month ago only.
the weight stuff was about 4 months ago.
Yeah. What I've been doing is I got back on the carnivore diet. So I got all my stream snacks here. So I got bacon jerky. These I just opened one up and tried for the first time. It was Vermont beef and pork sticks. That was nice. I got the pepperoni. What was this? Turkey and pepperoni right here. So, I just pretty much. Oh, there's almost I hover somewhere between keto and carnivore. I guess some people might say ketovore, but and cutting all that sugar out makes quite a difference. I also intermittent fast. I found some other cool things too. I haven't tried this yet. Parm crisps.
See, I haven't really gone. Well, I guess it kind of counts as an extreme diet. I haven't really done like the fad diet. I literally just started out small, cutting soda, then cutting sugar, then adding a fresh fruit and vegetable to a meal, and then
So you're just going with natural whole foods.
pretty much. And
Yeah,
then
that
it
works.
works great.
Yeah, I've found myself over the years responding well to keto when I stick with it, but then when I started trying carnivore, it works well. But the problem is, I stick with it so long, and then when I go off wagon, I binge, and then the next day I was like, I need one more day, and then the next day, one more day, and then almost a year later, one more day. So what I do now is Sundays are my day off wagon. The rest of the week I stay on. And I seem to be more consistent that way. So if we ended up doing the stream tomorrow like we originally planned, I would have been eating peanut butter M&Ms.
I'm not quite sure what you're asking. So what is your question about the new Transformers 1? Oh, the new movie. I don't know if it's this case. So my question is it going to be following kind of like the comics and the official novels, or is it going to be its own unique story where they take bits and pieces and try to reinvent it?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different continuities to it now. It's tough to keep track.
Well, the nice thing is because of the that Covenant limited edition anniversary book that they released. I think it was either for the 25th anniversary or for the 30th. It was right before the Transformer movies, the Bayformers.
Mm-hmm.
They solidified in stone pretty much the history of Cybertron up until that point. So it kind of forced them all to agree on a similar thing. I mean, they do acknowledge there is multiverses in the Transformers. I mean, Vector Prime can travel between space and time. So then that way they can reset the Transformer worlds and all that. But I'm curious exactly where exactly the new Transformers 1 is going to lie in terms of the plot.
Yeah, when is that coming out?
I believe it's at the end of the month. Or is it mid-September? I don't know. Sooner or later. It's coming.
I'm going to have to try and give that a watch because I figure we're going to be having a conversation about it. So.
Well, you know those shorts that we watched, the Green Energon and the fan-made shorts done by Epic Voice Guy? Epic Voice Guy is going to be in the movie.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
I think he's a couple of the side characters for Transformers, but he is in there.
Speaking of which, I got to bring up that Green Energon clip you showed me. That was great.
Oh, that is like the funniest fan-made stuff, man. But here's the thing. The last Transformers series, the Transformers Allspark, they put so much BS into it that a lot of parents stopped having their kids watch it. It nearly killed the franchise and the toy sales.
Yeah, that stuff is killing a lot of franchises.
So I don't know, because the Allspark one, which No offense to anybody, but the Allspark one is the one where they had the non-binary transformer, which is not physically possible if you know anything about coding. And
Put a kick in it, make her gay!
they also had an episode where one of the characters literally told them that if they don't use pronouns, they can't be trusted.
I did not mean to hit play on that quite yet.
Oh, no, you're good. And so, like I said, a lot of parents, because of that, had their kids stop watching Transformers.
Yeah, I mean, there's way to discuss things, and then there's ways not to. And that type of subject matter in a kid's show is how not to.
About transforming car robots.
Yeah. who have who just by their very physiology is going to be very dependent on binary code. So to say you're non-binary makes no sense.
Because it goes against coding and robotics and any of that.
Yes, it does.
The message.
No, I get what they were trying to say. It's just they didn't do enough research into robotics and programming to realize, oh, that's not probably the way we should go.
All right, let's check out this little quick green energon bit.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons.
I like how they redid the intro though.
Transformers, more than meets the eye. Transformers.
It is the year 2012. The heroic Autobots have stopped the evil Decepticons at every turn from stealing Earth's vast resources. Desperate for a new source of energy, Megatron must find an alternative fuel in order to create the energon he needs to defeat the Autobots, then conquer.
Real quick, how long ago did this come out? It was 10 years
this one's
ago.
old.
Yeah.
So what it was back then, I don't know if they do it anymore. There used to be an official Transformers member fan club, which I never joined because they wanted way too much money just to get a stupid card that said you were part of this club that I'm collecting. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I had at the time a bigger collection than most collectors. But so during the BotCon, that's actually what it was called, was BotCon, they had fan-made video competitions. This was one of those competition videos that was entered for the BotCon.
Wow.
So it's fan-made, but it's awesome.
What was it? TNet 2005 was a big website, or
something like that.
Space Bridge or something. Yeah.
So this is an older video.
And
Still one of
return
those
to
that was
Cybertron.
done so
This
well.
is Victor Caroli, and rumors of my demise are greatly exaggerated.
Decepticons, attack! Pathetic meat sack. We are here to steal your precious energy sources and convert them into precious.
There he goes again, monologuing to these unevolved lumps of waste.
I think it's cute. I always...
I never thought I'd hear Soundwave say, I think it's cute.
Keep going. This is just gold.
Is that is Victor Caroli in this, huh?
I don't think so. I think he was epic voice guy pretending to be Victor Caroli.
Wanted a pet human. It would be nice to have something that didn't lubricate wherever you felt like it.
If I were leader, I would never waste time monologuing. I would.
But you're doing it right now.
No, not.
But
What?
you... But you...
Where was it? If I were leader.
Sure. Where is the oil?
There's no oil here.
Then where's the fuel?
This is a green energy plant.
Who what?
It's environmentally safe. There's no fuel or...
And with this green energy, we shall have enough power to rule. Soundwave, begin production of the Energon cubes. As you command, Lord Megatron.
Was he petting a human?
Yes.
What's this?
Green Energon?
Do not be alarmed, my fellow Decepticons. It is merely a new form of energy, probably even more powerful than before.
Remember when Megatron found that Heart of Cybertron thing? And we all got wasted on Energon? If normal Energon gets us drunk, what will green Energon do?
Only one way to find out.
Yeah, there are a ton of these fan-made
Never really
ones.
thought about my quote before. Peace through tyranny. I'm hungry.
Hasbro just made one up and slapped it on my box.
You gotta stand up to the man. Hasbro is the man.
True. Dude, I've just got so many ideas in my head right now. It's like my head is on fire with knowledge. This stuff
How do you think I
is
became an author?
the ultimate weapon.
I know, right? Now I know how Beachcomber feels all the time.
Who?
Beachcomber. He's one of the Autobots, man.
I can't even remember their names, dude. They all look alike to me.
Soundwave, you should totally record us right now, so we don't forget all this awesome stuff.
Okay, real quick. I walked outside, and I have the squirrels coming up, and I have no peanuts in my pocket right now. I walked up, 3 of them came running up to the patio.
Used peanuts, huh?
Yep. I'm going to just start this going, set the computer down. I will be right back. I got to go grab some peanuts for them.
Okay.
You know, I've listened to these tapes thousands of times, but I've never really heard them before.
Hey, Meggie. You're like a Megatron?
Look how huge my hands are.
Emergency. Decepticons approaching.
What? They've never been bold enough to just walk right into the Ark before? Megatron must be up to something. Autobots, prepare for battle.
Hey, Brian. What's up, man?
Megatron, this day one shall stand.
Blah, blah, blah. This is you being all leadery. It's cool, I think I call you up.
No.
Hey, that's cool. That's cool. Don't invade your identity space.
Why are you here?
The real question is, why are any of us here? I realized that, hey, we both want the same thing. Peace. Maybe I go about it a little differently than you, but hey, you know. So what do you say, buddy? We friends?
Autobots, you know what to do. Bumblebee.
Did you guys hear that?
What?
Shh. Stop. I'm freaking out, man.
You're all paranoid.
What in the name of Primus?
Oh, the Shockwave's voice is spot on.
You're like a father to me. Megatron?
Look how huge my hands are. You see, you're all idiots.
It is Victor Caroli. All right.
Hi, I'm Optimus Prime, and I play Optimus Prime on Transformers. This episode depicts how dangerous green energy can be. Fossil fuels, kids.
Go to drugs, turkey.
Yeah, I know you showed this to me before, but I don't think I watched it all the way through. That's hilarious.
You should watch Optimus Prime Rude Awakening in the corner right there. Oh my gosh. That's what happens if Optimus Prime got to talk to the Beast Wars guys.
Oh, yeah, because they had that one scene where, like, he lifted his head, came conscious for just a second, and then passed back out.
Yeah, and so they went ahead and made a scene. This is another fan made where they made the scene where he was actually waking up to talk to him.
All right,
It's
let's
funny
see
as
this.
hell. You see it in the corner right there, top corner.
This one?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's the other Rude
Last
Awakening.
time
You want the
on
first one. That
Baseball.
one's not as good.
Let's see what we can get here.
It's a Rude Awakening Optimus Prime. You should be able to find it with just that. There it is.
I've done it. Optimus Prime lives. Our leader is back.
This is based off the Gen 1 Wars.
You brought me back to life?
It was an accident.
I thank you. We're Ratchet. He's gone, Prime. We've got big problems. These spores are infecting everybody. They're making them destroy each other. You're our last hope, Prime.
Oh, it is Dr. Smooth.
If Megatron gets his hands on those spores, there's no telling what he'll do. You mean Galvatron, Prime? Galvatron? Yes, Galvatron. Rodimus, tell me about this Galvatron. Unicron rebuilt Megatron into a robot called Galvatron. He's way stronger, and he's totally insane. Fuck. Then Galvatron's the least of our problems. We need to stop Unicron. Prime. Cup, my old friend. We already defeated Unicron. He's just a head floating around in space now. Good work, Autobots. Now we can focus on stopping Galvatron. We need to stop the spores from spreading. Ah, yes, the spores. Do you have a plan, Optimus? Of course I have a plan. Ironhide, Prowl, Hopper, I want you three. They're not here, Prime. I don't know how to do this, Optimus. They're not here. I'm afraid they survived the attack on They died in battle. I'm sorry, Prime. Ironhide, dead. My friends. It seems we're in worse shape than our bots. Who do we have left?
Wheelie, say, I helped you today.
Who the fuck is this Autobot?
Wheelie's my name. Wanna play a game?
No. Prime, Willie's been helping us out for a little while. We use the decoy a lot. He can stay guard the base. Who else do we have?
Hey, Optimus, it's me, Blur. It's so great that you're
Oh, shit.
brought you back to life. Now we have a chance against the Decepticons. We never
Shut up, Blur. Out of all the Autobots to survive. Fuck me. This is all your fault, Rodimus. Great. Who else? Us.
Yo, this is Pastor Blasted at you. Don't you worry, Jack. You know I got your back. How you doing, Prime?
Oh, shit. What's up, you motherfucker?
Yo, what's that? It's been about a minute since I've seen you.
For sure. Now that's what I'm talking about. Now who else?
Hey, Brian, it's me, Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. My small little friend. You look different.
Yeah, I just got totally rebuilt. I feel better than ever. I feel like a gold bug.
And that's who you'll be from now on, Bumblebee. Gold Bug.
Wow, thanks. Gee, Optimus, I was kind of thinking I could still be called Bumblebee.
Quiet, Gold Bug.
Shut up now, Optimus.
Don't let it bother you, kid. Wish I could feel like a gold bug. At my old age, I feel like a piece of shit.
And that's who you'll be from now on. Shit piece.
I don't know about that.
Shit piece. Gold Bug. Organize a strike team immediately. Blaster, you'll hang out with me.
Yo, Prime.
I want to have a word with you.
Yes, Optimus.
Give me back that fucking Matrix immediately. You've run this organization right out of the fucking ground, Hot Rod.
I tried to do my best.
If you would let Ultra Magnus have the Matrix like I had intended, then we wouldn't be in this mess now, would we?
No, we wouldn't, Optimus, sir.
The best you can do is bring me back to life to fix your problems. It's probably the best move as leader that you've ever made.
I'm sorry I couldn't be the leader that you were.
Now, you and Wheelie will stay here to guard the base.
Yes, Optimus Prime, sir.
The rest of the Autobots, let's transform and go Galvatron right up his ass.
Oh, damn, that's nasty.
Not literally. Roll out.
shot of me.
So I got it mixed up. The other Rude Awakening is the one with the Beast Sword scene, but I like this one way better.
I remember I came across a bunch of Dr. Smooth's videos years ago. I missed that one. My favorite, I think, was Shockwave's Burden. Oh man,
I like the there's another one where it's a gun control advertisement involving Megatron. You can imagine how well that one went over. I don't know if that one's still on YouTube or not, given the subject.
I told YouTube back when it was literally
Yeah.
broadcast yourself, and
Well, that was before Google owned it.
yeah. I mean,
That was-
I'll give Google the credit where it's due. They did spiffy up that user interface quite a bit, but how they tend to run things, I have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found out from a weekly Wing It episode we did like end of last year. We were discussing the conspiracy theory that may have been the inspiration for Dolph Lundgren's movie "I Come in Peace."
Yeah.
And I got a strike for that, and I didn't even realize it until like months later. And it's like, you have to complete a little test, and then if you don't get any more pegs against you in 90 days, this will drop off. So I was like, well, I should have done this months ago. So I went to take the test, and I'm going through, and I got one, according to them, incorrect. So I looked at him like, hold on, I don't think that's incorrect. They're just coming from a completely different premise. Let me adopt what I think their premise is. And I went through the rest and got everything right. Pretty much, you cannot assert your opinion if it disagrees with their premise.
Yeah.
or if you do,
Even
you have
though
to do it in a
it's
very, very specific way. But some certain conspiracy theories, if you talk about it, that might lend it any credence whatsoever. You don't even have to say, all you have to say is, in my opinion, I think there's some validity to this. That, certain things you're not allowed to say that about, which is really a bummer, seeing how, I still think of YouTube as broadcast yourself. I'm surprised I am on YouTube. I'm so stuck in the 80s, but James Esparza, author of The World Without End, Everything. How's it going, man? Yes, he has done so much in his world, and Maji, you're actually the voice of one of his most popular characters.
The undead are planning to attack, and it's up to Gwendolyn the gnome to deliver word to the humans before they're taken by surprise. Glimmerleaf, link in the description.
Actually, I don't have the link in the description of this particular broadcast, but I can go change that as we speak. I'll add that in. So, yeah, my knowledge is mostly on G1 and Prime. You seem to know. What was that book? That first book you showed me? It was the novel book you showed me. You there, Maji? Maji, still with us? Huh. Hopefully we get that sound bit figured out real quick.
Oh, sorry, I had to go step away for a sec.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, you put it in the private chat and I didn't even see it. All right, my bad.
No worries. So, overall, though, in terms of everything, Gen 1, I still think, is the best for what it is in terms of the characters, in terms of how cool everything is, everything like that. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't even until a whole nother generation they started to work on the lore from the holes created by Gen 1. But unfortunately, part of the problem with the Gen 1, at least, or the whole thing with the lore and stuff, is there's that whole entire 1.5 and Gen 2, which was released in Japan, that never made it to the US, that nobody knows about.
That was actually better than the rebirth that we got. And I hated their whole headmaster thing. I know they were trying to sell toys, but it's like, oh, now you're stuck in this. You got a person who's now stuck. What was it, Daniel? I think he was stuck. He couldn't live without the exosuit. And the exosuit transformed into RC's head. And it's like, it just seemed wrong on some level I can't even quite define. And to this day, I still can't stand it.
Yeah, no, Headmasters was boring and bad. Victory was interesting, but the problem with Victory, which is another one of the Japanese ones, the techno is so loud, because especially since you can't understand Japanese, so you're listening to nothing but techno or reading subtitles. You can only watch it in increments before you go nuts, because it's not even good techno.
Oh, by the way, the link to Glimmerleaf is now in the description.
We're not going there right out. That goes back to that within Google's and YouTube's premise.
What is a form of trans? Which Transformer, which Cybertronian had the most useless alt mode? Do you think?
Most useless? Actually, it would probably be this is gonna probably get us in hot water because of the very, very type of bot. But it would have to be Transformers Beast Wars Transmutate. That bot was so useless because it was completely deformed and everything, to the point it couldn't. Not only it could not transform, and that's not because Shockwave took its T-Cog or anything. Which, for those who don't know, without a T-Cog, a Transformer cannot transform.
It's like an internal organ to them.
And it was just because of how it got developed. It was developed during the middle of the stasis pod it was in crashed down to the earth and was so busted up and stuff, it actually exploded, awakening the Transformer. But because it didn't take on a physical form, it was like this decrepit looking, alien looking creature that ended up getting destroyed because it jumped in between the two warring parties, so the Maximals and the Predacons, and got blown up. It was only
From how you described them, that was probably a kindness.
Yeah, it was only half of an episode. It was actually so you could learn more about Silverbolt's type of character, because technically Silverbolt's a mutated one as well. Two different Transformers whose spark got merged into one.
Yeah, their physiology is different at this point, I believe, ever since the big upgrade, they call it.
Yeah, they call it the big upgrade, but
I think they actually have some biological components to them as well.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I hate to say it, the official out of the TV series, all the TV series, it would have to be Transmutate, because Transmutate, I mean, that was its name. Couldn't transform. It had function in terms of intelligent thought, but it was like a 3-year-old child, which is very, very rare compared to the rest of the Transformer series, where they're intelligent beings.
So this dude made Grimlock look smart.
Yes.
Dominique Z, good to see you. Welcome.
Nothing against him. He wasn't an idiot or anything. It just he hadn't developed anything because it was just so damaged from the crash.
My personal opinion, the most useless alt mode, again, I'm stuck in G1, is a toss-up between Reflector and Perceptor. Because they both transformed into objects that they could have accomplished these things without becoming those objects. You know?
Perceptor, definitely. I don't get why he's a giant microscope.
I don't get why Reflector was triplets, three that would merge into one tiny little camera to go click. I mean, they can do that without even changing into their alt mode if they have those components within them.
Mm-hmm.
See, Dominic Z says, sorry if it sounds off topic, but do you know that Jada also made Rick Grimes' Ford Crown Victoria from The Walking Dead in 1/32 scale? Does it transform? I had a Crown. It was a Country Squire, but it was the same thing as a Crown Vic. That was one of the first cars I drove around in. It was a gas guzzler, but wow, did that car have some? It had some pep to it. It was a station wagon.
With Walking Dead.
It was a station wagon. I launched it in the air once. Yeah, I tried to treat it like the General Lee. Oh, that would be cool. An Autobot named the General, and he turned into the Dukes of Hazzard's car.
Well, there was the Transformers Alternative series for a while there, where they would take icons from other IPs and stuff and turn them into Transformers. So, like, there was this whole mini series based off of the Star Wars, like the Death Star, Vader, Boba Fett, Slave One, stuff like that. That was before they took over.
Phil Kid has joined us. Good to see you. And if you listen, that's his tune you hear in the background. His link in the description. Both his Bandcamp and his merch store, which I got some of that right now.
Yeah, no, Jada Toys makes some really cool die-casts. I think, were they the ones who did the alternators? Or the metal series? Hold on, let me check.
Well, while you're checking that, I was talking about that lady I used to speak to on the Transformers forum, who also got booted off there too. But she sent me one of her fanfics, and it was a Batman Transformers crossover. And in this, Starscream's consciousness got now transferred into the Batwing. So the Batwing was flying around because it was Starscream, and Batman determined that he was coming up with a way to kill the Decepticons because he didn't think they were alive until Rumble lied to him. He's like, well, you are living beings. You lied for self-preservation. That's how he determined they were alive. Which I thought was a really cool idea. Again, it was a fan fiction. This isn't like some one shot from a company or something. It was just her writing ideas she had. And I have no contact with her, haven't for years. I don't know her real name. All I know is she was in Florida at that point in time. But her writing, I really hope she stuck with it because she was good at writing.
So Jada didn't do the Alternator series. However, they are the ones with the remote control Optimus Prime. The Gen 1, the Optimus Prime, or remote control car.
Uh-oh, Joe Kid's going to hit us with copyright. Until he saw me wearing a shirt. He says it looks awesome on me. Thanks. See, Jada made the Metals series.
That's what the Metal series is kind of cool, actually. If you can find it. I don't know where it is. I had a Metals Optimus Prime, but the problem is with the Metal series is they tend to be a little top heavy when they're transformed.
So you're talking about the figures themselves, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought this might have been a series, like a media series.
No, these are the actual toys.
All right, Chili. Thanks for stopping in, man. Good to see you. And thank you for sharing. Dominique says you should also get the bee and puppy cat license. That's a little outside my knowledge. Maji, you understand that?
No, sadly I do not. But I do know from that usually a lot of stuff from Jada is considered collectibles. They have, if it's the series, I think it is, which I'm pretty sure it is, a die-cast collectibles of different types of cars and stuff that they have in protective boxes. And some of theirs, like the Roadrunner and Coyote one, was really cool, along with the Harley Quinn car.
I didn't even know there was a Harley Quinn car.
Am I right, Dominic? Is that the right company? I think it is. Or am I thinking of M2? It might be M2's. I get them a little confused.
J Toys
Yeah,
also
Hollywood
has
Ride
the Hollywood
series,
Ride
that's it.
series.
So I was right. It is those ones.
Yeah, I was surprised to learn just, I think, within the past year that when Hasbro put all these together, it was a Diaclone and another line or whatever, which is why some of them look like completely different manufacturers. They were designed by different companies. But when they put them together as the Transformers, they shipped all the info to Marvel Comics, and the writers at Marvel's came up with the names and the backstories and personalities of all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, back when Marvel was still Marvel. He says, yeah, it's the right company. They were distributed by Simba Dickey Toys over here in Germany. Man, across the pond. What is that? Like I think a 6-hour time difference? So
I believe it. Well, for Devil's Air, it's 9, but Devil's Air is also in Sweden, so
yeah.
Or not Sweden.
What is it, about 9:30 where you are, Dominic? Is it Dominic or Dominique?
Not Sweden. Bet she's Dutch. He's gonna be so mad I totally forgot. Oh well.
Yeah, Devil's Air is Dutch, and so is, I believe, Bonsart, right? Bonsart Vocal from the Radio Retro Future.
You would know that better than I would.
Yeah, I did know it, but I'm not so sure because it's been a long time since I thought about it, and I got all these people all over the world now trying to keep track of who's where and.
21.
Oh, I called it. Yep, 6 hours. So he's 6 hours ahead of me. He's 9 hours ahead of you.
Oh, so we're both right.
Yeah, that's right. You and I are in different time zones too. So welcome to Earth, where nobody knows what time it is. But at least there's a song that goes, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, I know, right?
Maybe we should get together with Trippy. He and I write a song. We'll call it "It's 4:20" somewhere. Although can I rightly do that since I don't do that anymore? But
Technically, I don't see why not.
yeah. I'm surprised how much more energy I have since I stopped smoking the wacky tobacco.
Yeah, I've had a feeling. Since I started, losing weight and getting healthy, it's like, wow, I'm not sleeping nearly as much.
Yeah. The other thing that threw me off was I started dreaming again.
Oh, that I know nothing about.
Yeah, well, I guess it uses up so much of something in the brain where you don't remember. You at least don't remember your dreams. Now they're coming back. So little odd things when you clean up your life that start to change that you don't expect. Chaos says he's got to go. Thank you for stopping in,
Yeah.
Chaos. Hope you had fun.
Might be time for us to get going.
Yeah, we're. I only thought this would go about an hour. We're coming up. We're over an hour and a half now. Dominic
Well,
says,
technically,
"Here's a really good Jada toy idea: John Wick's Ford Mustang that comes with John Wick diecast figure. That would be cool. That would sell. That would move." All right. Well, I guess we'll start wrapping this up. Is there anything you want to touch on before we close it out, Maji?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, we just mostly geeked out about Transformers, a little bit of comic book art styles, stuff like that.
Which I still think that, what was it, Dreamwave was probably one of the best looking for art styles.
Oh yeah, easily. But if you guys want to find us, you can find me on a Drink with Crazy Discord. He is a YouTuber who's dedicated to shilling independent artists and trying to build an audience that will take a look at their work. I mean, that's his sole purpose. Check out A Drink with Crazy at youtube.com and have a good day, guys.
All right, and you can find my stuff on Amazon, Haley Star Bad Kitty and the follow-up Bad Kitty Haley's World, as well as Frequency Studios Substack. I will be posting short stories that are in canon to the books there fairly soon. And, of course, the X Twitter, Truth, Minds, under Frequency Studios. You can find me there as well. Dominic says, although Greenlight has the license to John Wick, I wonder if Jada could do it. Yeah, that's sometimes one of the toughest hurdles to get through when you have a good idea is not everybody who has the rights is going to be down with it. And
I mean, technically, the Hollywood's Rights series did do the Supernatural car, so it is possible.
yeah, you never know. Anyway, thank you everyone so much for watching. Hope you had as much fun as we did geeking out here. If you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like, and if you didn't, I appreciate you stopping by. We'll see you next time.
See
and God
ya.
bless.